What's good, Fit Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We are back here for another one. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Just watching some Thursday Night Football. Just finished recording the finish line with a ball game in the homie Richmond Webb. So we got a bunch to talk about today because over the past I want to say 24 hours since Jay Glazer put out a very vague tweet regarding Deshaun Watson, things have ramped up in terms of updates with the Dolphins and Deshaun Watson. So I want to touch on those. I want to take a look at the schedule remaining for the Miami Dolphins because there's something interesting you guys are going to see. I also want to take a look and talk about Michael Deiter because he missed practice today. And then I want to do something. I want to name the top 5 things I've identified that the Miami Dolphins must turn around to make a playoff run, to become a playoff team. And we'll go over that. So first, let's start off with the small stuff. All right. So starting off with the small stuff, it is as follows. If you look at the injury report today, kind of crazy for the Miami Dolphins right now. Michael Deiter did not participate, and this is after Will Fuller did not participate yesterday. So the talk right now is that it's not known if Michael Deiter is going to be able to go. Obviously, we'll know more tomorrow on the post-game show, on the pregame show, when we preview the game, but we also look over the final injury report heading into Sunday, because if Deiter does not participate tomorrow, then it's probably not a good sign, and it might be the first start of the season for Greg Mansk. You look at the Colts, though, they're just dealing with a whole bunch of stuff, but Michael Deiter may not be going Sunday, and that might lead to Greg Mansk. And you know what? It'll be interesting to see how the offensive line performs with a veteran presence on it if Deiter is not able to go, because it could be a thing where, if they perform better, you kick Deiter to guard and you let Jesse Davis heal up, and Greg Mansk, someone who can call out slides and protections and ID stuff. It might be better in the long run. So we'll see. They might be forced to make an adjustment this weekend. But even if, let's say, all that does happen, I would want to see Michael Deiter play guard, because I think he has way better functional strength and an anchor than currently what we're dealing with Jesse Davis and what we're seeing with Eichenberg and and such. So Michael Deiter is right now certainly questionable as to whether he's going to be going tomorrow. If he does not participate tomorrow, then he's more than likely out on Sunday. So something for all of you guys to watch, all of you guys to monitor. When you take a look at the Miami Dolphins schedule right now, I know there's some daunting tasks on the horizon, but there are some easy streaks that we've talked about consistently. And I wanted to show you guys this because this is very interesting. If you go by current offensive defensive rankings and overall records and remaining teams on the schedule, right now the Miami Dolphins technically have the second easiest schedule remaining, and Buffalo's number 1 and Tampa's number 3. So Miami, you look at this, guys. If Tua comes back in Jacksonville, Tua could very well rifle up some serious wins here. Jacksonville, Atlanta, Houston, the Jets twice, the Giants, New Orleans, and New England, given his record of being 2-0, are all realistic. I look at Tennessee, obviously New England to an extent, but it's at home where we usually perform better. I look at Tennessee. I look at Baltimore. I look at Buffalo and Carolina with how they're playing right now as the only hard, extremely highly difficult matchups for Tua Tagovailoa. Now, I say extremely high difficulty because I think New England is a difficult matchup. But I mean, there's a lot of winnable games for Tua. So you're sitting here. It's not unrealistic to think Tua, when he gets back, I mean, this guy could go out there, and if he comes back in week 6, let's say, against Jacksonville, it is very, very realistic that he wins 8 of the remaining 12 games. So that would take the team to 9-8 if they're 1-4. That's why it's key. I think, and if you got a guy who goes 8-4, and if he sneaks one of those out, which is very well possible, you go 9-3, 10 wins. We need 11, I think, this year. I think that's the magic number. So this game on Sunday against the Colts is very winnable. So Jacoby, I need you to pull this one out. Defense, I need you to do your thing, because I think Tua can come back and win us 8 or 9 games on that as I look at this remaining schedule. And I need that, and with the help of the defense, obviously, I mean, Tua can win those games. Him and the defense can take care of those. So I need this win against Indy on Sunday, Jacoby, to feel comfortable. I'd rather be 2-3 if we lose to Tampa going into London than 1-4. That's for sure. Big difference. Don't want this thing to start slipping away early on. But yeah, if you go by current team rankings, if you go by offensive and defensive rankings, the Dolphins right now, as it stands, we have the second easiest schedule. So again, the only ones when I look at this that worry me are Tampa, Buffalo on Halloween, Baltimore on Thursday night. Carolina's playing good football, so that's not as much of a lock as I thought it was preseason. And Tennessee, just because of the running game, I think we can deal with Tannehill. Then obviously you got a difficult matchup with New England, but those are the only. New England doesn't scare me under Tua. Those other 4 games though do scare me a little bit. So let's see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see. You look at it. This is a more positive outlook. That guys, you can salvage this season, but the Colts game, winning that is one of those keys to salvaging this season. And because we still do have some hard games here, and we're only 4 weeks in, but I mean, if you don't beat this Colts team with all the injuries they have and all the holes they have right now, that is going to send a lot of red flags and alarms. So we'll talk about that tomorrow in the preview show, but that's definitely troublesome if you can't win this game against the Colts. Let me be the first to tell you that. All right. So that's just a look at that schedule to show you guys that the Dolphins right now have the second easiest schedule remaining. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now get into my top 5 things I think the Dolphins need to turn around. Then we're going to get Deshaun Watson. Then after Watson, I'm going to open it up to you guys. Want to hear you guys' thoughts. All right. So, all right. Now, the top 5 things I think the Dolphins need to turn around for them to become a playoff team here. Number 1, they got to commit to the run. Okay. You see Myles Gaskin, 13 carries, 65 yards against the Raiders. Some big chunks, especially with Brissett. We've been averaging more yards per rush than we are averaging more yards than we are in terms of averaging yards per pass. It's time to throw the football and predicate the pass off of the run. It's not stop throwing to set up the run, right? You got a fast enough speedy committee where they can, because of the threat of them being an option, if you want to play action or just straight up run a pass play, the threat out of the backfield as well as the threat on the ground, you have a lot of options at your disposal. So, you've got to start committing to the run if you are the Miami Dolphins. We know we ran the ball 27 times on Sunday. They got about 137 yards. So go figure, you commit to the run and you go out and put up 130 plus yards. That's going to be needed to continue to win these football games moving forward, especially if you want to sneak out the Halloween game against the Bills or against the Ravens. We're going to have to keep those high-powered offenses off the field, and establishing the run and committing to it is the best way to do that. Number 4, it's time to start turning pressures into sacks. And I know it was good to see Brandon Jones get a couple sacks on Sunday, but Jalen Phillips was drafted 18th overall. He's getting his feet under him. It seems like the sacks are going to come soon, and they might come in bunches once the floodgates open. But Ogba had almost 10 sacks last year. He's the 4th best defensive end in football in terms of generating pressures right now. He's number 4. You need these to start turning into sacks. And I know we don't have Raekwon Davis right now, but it needs to happen. Same thing with Jerome Baker. If you look at how Jerome Baker was used last year, they manufactured a lot of those sacks for him by scheming them up. He's an off-the-ball blitzing linebacker. Use him for what he's worth. Let's get Jerome Baker back there and use his talents to the best of his ability. And it's time to start getting some sacks here. So remember, it's also not always about sacks. It's about pressures too. And we're getting enough of those, but we need to start turning these into sacks. So that's where I'm at right now with turning pressures into sacks, because we've all noticed it. Let's be honest. And then top 5 things the Dolphins need to turn around. Number 3, consistently stopping the run. They find their footing as the game goes on, and the big chunk plays don't happen as often if you leave out the Las Vegas game, because we gave up that huge run to Peyton Barber in overtime that basically led to them clinching it. But you look at week 1 and week 2, the Devin Singletary run, the Damian Harris run against us to open up those games, and right off the bat, big chunks and momentum to the opponent's side. Is it too much to ask for us to come out for a couple games, and the first couple times they run, we stop them just beyond the line of scrimmage, or even I don't know, at the line of scrimmage, or maybe even behind it? New theory. It's just we've got to be more consistent. There's no much. We can't have a slow start against the run and then settle in by the 4th. Like, be consistent out the gate. Stop them. Don't let them establish a drive early on against you and either put points on the board or take time off the clock away from you. We just need to be consistent out of the gate and stopping the run. And hopefully this will happen when the homie Raekwon Davis returns. So number 2 in top 5 things that need to turn around to get better offensive coaching. Like, good God Almighty, when I'm sitting there and we're breaking down the all 22, when I'm sitting there and I'm ripping apart your play designs and your concepts, I wasn't even doing that with Chan Gailey. Now, I didn't do it overly too much this past weekend, albeit the double smoke screen was a bad call and Jacoby should have audibled out of it. You compare it to 2 of the week before, he had a run play he checked out of into the slant to Parker. That was a huge completion that helped us win the game in New England and seal it. It's the same thing here. Like, Jacoby, if you're not going to take Shaheen over the middle and you're going to throw a bad pass on the smoke screen, audible out of it, check out of it. Okay. Stop. And coaching wise, the offensive line is regressing. There's no doubt about it right now in terms of where these kids were at this point last year to where they are right now. Jackson's still a disaster on film. Eichenberg's going through his lumps. Hunt had a really bad game against the Bills. Looked a bit better this week. Deiter looked a bit better this week, but was a disaster against the Bills. Then you go look at the coaching in terms of Disco plays off committing to the run. These running backs are only going to get better with reps, and the more work you give them and the bigger workload you give them, commit to them. They've proven they can take some of it. I know they wanted to get Malcolm Brown more involved, and that's why Salvin Ahmed only saw 2 offensive snaps this past weekend. But man, I get you want to even it, but there's no reason why Gaskins shouldn't be flirting with 15 to 18 carries a game. There's just no way. I don't get it. So just come on, commit to it. And then this goes towards, the play calling needs to be better. The situational play calling needs to be better. The play calling from the 20 to the 20 needs to be better right now. Fix it. Jalen Waddle needs to be utilized better. You guys have the Ferrari right now, and you're driving it like you're an 80-year-old grandmother. It needs to be better even with how you're utilizing players. You have weapons and you don't know how to use them. The top 5, the number one thing I got here is fix the offensive line. I don't care how. I don't care how you do it. What do you got to sign? Mitchell Schwartz? Cool. What do you got to kick Deiter to guard, put Mance in the middle, and try to get some veteran leadership out there? Cool. You got to bench Jackson and start Greg Little? I'm down. Fix it. And fix it fast. Because that Tampa Bay defense is going to feast on these kids. Feast. So figure it out. Fix the offensive line. Go back to your power gap. Stop with this RPO stuff, with this finesse blocking, and with now going a little bit more zone, and just go back to what you're building this offensive line to be. And if you have to make an in-season replacement of Lemuel Jean-Pierre with someone who's more experienced out there to get better out of this team, do it. You fired Patrick Flaherty after 4 training camp sessions in 2019 when he told you Deiter wasn't ready. So you've knee-jerked on it before. Do it now. You got to trade for Taylor Decker. Do it now. If Taylor Decker is a long-term solution at left tackle. Especially if you're going to be trying to go for Deshaun Watson in the offseason. Get Taylor Decker. Go get it done. Even if you're not getting Deshaun Watson, you're sticking with Tua. Get Taylor Decker. Go get it done. If you can't draft them, trade or sign. Trade for or sign proven commodities if you can't draft them. Because you could get away with having to give him a first for Decker. But fix the offensive line. You could right now trade for Decker and sign Mitchell Schwartz right now in this moment. Why am I hearing rumors of 3 firsts and 3 and a second and 2/3 for one player when you could sign one and trade probably a second and a fourth for the other, and you have your whole offensive line fixed, and then you could probably still talk about that one player for all that capital. Come on. The fixes are there right now, or the effort. Stop bargain bin shopping for guys that you can get for a 7th round pick or off the waiver wire. You got $1 million right now in free in cap space, I believe. You can move cap. You could cut Jakeem Grant free up money. There's moves you could make. You could cut Clayton Fledulum and promote Jamal Perry. You would save money. There's money to be. You could trade Durham Smythe. Like, there's things you can do here and create this, then better this team. All right. So let's get into the Deshaun Watson discussion. Let's do it. But before we do, a couple things. If you'd like to donate to the channel, paypal.me/Phinside. Become a Phinside the NFL Patreon, patreon.com/Phinside the NFL Patrons will get first access to my either Jalen Phillips or Javon Holland film study that will be coming next week. They'll get 2-day early access, and as will YouTube members. If you want to become a Patreon, you also get mod access, and you get access to inside info as I hear it. You can go check that out, patreon.com/Phinside the NFL. If you'd like to become a member of the channel, you get a custom emojis. You get a badge next to your name. And on top of that, you will also get early access to the film study videos like Patreons. All right. So either click the join button next to the subscribe button or check in the description link. There is a link for the Patreon and a link directly to join and become a channel member. So both options are there. And there's different tiers for both options. Patchvibes.com. Use code Phinside to save 20% off your order. Use code REASON at backroomcollection.net to save 10% off your order. Guys, currently right now, they are selling canvases that are being autographed by Jerome Baker, Jason Taylor, and Zach Thomas. So go check it out. Use Reason and you will save 10% off your order. You can get a nice canvas picture of one of those players signed by said players. And they also have non-Dolphin players that they're getting signed too. So guys, check it out. 10% off your order. If you're a Zach Thomas fan, man, if you're a Jerome Baker fan, whatever, Jason Taylor, I believe too. If you're one of the fan of those guys, signed canvases, go check them out. You will get 10%, and they are authentic. And you'll get 10% off of your order. And then thrivefantasy.com. Use code Phinside at thrivefantasy.com, and you will save. And in terms of money you never had, you will have. If you deposit $50, they will match the $50. They will deposit every dollar up to your first $100 deposited. thrivefantasy.com. Use code Phinside. And guys, check it out if you're into fantasy prop bets. All right, let's get into Deshaun Watson. We got a lot to cover here. And we're just going to go over directly from people's Twitters. We're going to shift everywhere. We got a lot to go over right now. I asked, is the Deshaun Watson trade even doable? So what I'm going to do is present all the information we've heard over the last 24 hours that's come out that sent everyone in a shock. And then I'm going to present a Twitter thread about the legal situation. And then we're going to go have a look at the cap situation of the Miami Dolphins. And that's, is it even doable right now? That's all we're going to ask. We're going to look at what's come out, and then we're going to say, is it even doable right now? So, because personally, off the rip, I've been consistent. If it's a fair trade and you're not getting if you're not getting hosed, you make the deal because it's an upgrade. I've said that since day one. I understand totally why they would do it. If you're not getting hosed, I get that, obviously. And obviously, if you know the legal ramifications aren't going to blow up in your face, that's definitely a big thing there. And that's fine with me, cool. Because I'm here about winning. Like, I need a Super Bowl in my life before I die. Thank you, Miami. And I get all of that. So, and I've also been told privately, and I've conveyed to you guys, I was told if these allegations never hit, Deshaun Watson would be a Miami Dolphin right now. So I've already come to terms with this a long time ago. When I heard that, he came to terms with it that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Now, obviously, there's so much going on, and we'll get into all that a little bit here. But, I saw people today trying to say Tua Tagovailoa is a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson on Twitter. You are crazy, okay? Can Tua Tagovailoa become a top 10 quarterback in the NFL? Sure, it's all about situation, coaching, growth, and development. Deshaun Watson has already proven he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He's arguably, and you don't have that big of an argument if you're arguing against it, a top 5 quarterback right now in the NFL. It's just he has a lot of baggage. That's all. And the legal process has to play out and all that stuff. So I want to get this off, and here's my other thing. If you've been listening to me, Deshaun Watson in the quarterback position and Tua Tagovailoa are not the issue to me. To me, the issue right now is the offensive line and the coaching on the offensive side of the football and the play calling and the play design to an extent. So I've got a lot of issues on the offensive side of the football that go beyond the quarterback position that I don't think Deshaun Watson or anyone can mask right now. They need to be cleaned up and they need to be fixed. I think this regime, if we can't trust them to properly put a number 5 overall pick in a situation to be successful, what makes me believe they can put a proven veteran? All that in this situation to be successful, because they didn't with Jacoby. If you go look at, they didn't even design an offense to his strengths on Sunday. They kind of look like the same offense that didn't play to his strengths. But anyways, my whole point with that is this. They put in so little around Tua in terms of protection. They've given a number 7 overall, a 7th round draft pick as a running back. They've given some fragile, albeit they've actually invested in the wide receiver position. Some of them are fragile. So they haven't really fully done. They haven't given They haven't given a run game to Tua, and they haven't given him an offensive line. And the offensive line is the must, not necessarily the run game. The run game could come behind the offensive line, so they play off each other, right? Anyways, my point of this is if they're gonna give this to this young kid and say go out there and do it, what do you think they're gonna do to Deshaun Watson? They're gonna say, go be Superman. You don't need all that Tua has, and go ahead, go knock yourself out. Like, I don't even trust them to get it right with Deshaun Watson. That's just where I'm at. And that's not an indictment of Deshaun Watson, the player. That's an indictment of the regime that we currently have. So I think Deshaun Watson, just like even Tua Tagovailoa, if he developed right now, would be doomed to be a consistent 1st or 2nd round exit with this regime as it stands right now, because it's deeper than either one of those players on this team. That's where I'm at. Okay, so I just want everyone to know it's not the quarterback to me right now. It's way deeper than the quarterback. So, anyways, let's get into everything. So I will present all of the stuff that has come out over the past couple of days to you. And then let's go a little deeper. All right. And so let's start off with everything that set this on fire. And this is what Jay Glazer had going on. And I'm actually not going to show the full, I'm going to play the audio, but not show the full clip because I don't want to get demonetized and I want this to actually remain. So if you see here, we'll just show the bottom of Jay, and we'll play this for you guys.
Is there any chance they now turn to Deshaun Watson?
Nope, not at all. And Deshaun Watson's made it clear he does not want to play for the Houston Texans. But it's interesting because while we went into this season, the Texans really were not fielding phone calls. They really weren't. They weren't open to trade talks unless somebody was going to give them a ridiculous trade offer, more than 6 draft picks. They've already been offered 3 1s and 3 3s. Wanted more of that. However, I was told that this past week their stance started to soften a little bit with that. The interesting part, you look down at Miami with Tua going down, that'd be an obvious trade partner. However, remember this: if they end up trading Deshaun Watson right now, he's eligible to play. He's eligible to play next week. He's not on the commissioner's exempt list. He's not on any suspension list. So he can play immediately. It's just to see if the Texans can actually soften their stance even more and possibly send him out of town. But no,
he's
not going to play
regardless, right?
Yep, he is not playing for them.
Is there any chance?
And then you see Jay Glazer,
nope, not at
right
all. Deshaun
under
Watson's
that,
made it clear.
say, keep your eyes on this situation. Scoopage, NFL, Texans, NFL on Fox, whatever, okay? So you see Glazer say that. Now, today, Alex Dunno was on 5 Region Sports today with his show, and shout out to Miami Alejandro. He basically summarized what Alex Dunno said today, and his source close to Nick Castro said the Texans and Dolphins are discussing 3 firsts, 1 second, and 2 third-round picks. Tua possibly on the move to Washington for a second-round pick. Monday might be the day. Now, multiple people hit me up and heard this, and I have not heard this. But I have heard some stuff. Okay, so what I've heard is, okay, so what came out yesterday was Chris Sims said the Eagles were interested. Well, I checked in, and basically I was told, if you want a real nugget here, basically I was told by someone close to the Eagles, who most of you know that is, the price is too high for the Eagles right now, and they're actually eyeing a potential move for Russell Wilson in the offseason. Now, what's being said here kind of doesn't jive. And what doesn't jive is Glazer just said they turned down 3 firsts and 3 thirds. But this offer is 3 firsts, 1 second, and 2 third-round picks. So this is technically better than what Glazer said the Texans already turned down and that they softened on. This is a better offer. So I have not heard to Washington for a second round at all. So I know someone who covers. He comes on here quite often. Matt Valdivinos, he's been on here a few times. He covers the Redskins, and he has not heard this at all about Tua to Washington for a second round pick. So, yeah. And then Monday might be the day. I just haven't heard this. But this is what's said. Everyone in a blaze today. And everyone's like, oh my God. But I'm just saying, this does not jive with Jay Glazer. Jay Glazer said they turned down 3 firsts and 3 thirds. This is saying we're offering 3 firsts, 1 second, and 2 thirds. That's better. And Glazer said they turned down less. And that's what they had to soften under. So that just doesn't kind of make sense. Now, I'm not saying I don't know who Alex Donald's sources. I am not saying he's lying. I don't know who. I'm just saying they don't jive. Now, whether you want to believe Alex Dono or you want to believe Jay Glazer, that's on you. That's your decision, not mine. That's up for your interpretation, not mine. I'm not here to call Jay Glazer or Alex Dono wrong or a liar. I'm just saying those reports don't jive with each other. And who you choose to believe, well, that's on you. So then Josina Anderson, who I think is very credible, if you remember, you go back to free agency and etc. She's in with players. She before players were signing with places, she was breaking it. Before trades happened, she breaks it. She used to be with ESPN. Now she's with CBS. I think Josina Anderson's very credible. And even Chris Kaufman of 3 yards per carry, who's on 5 Reasons Sports, said, just like Dunno's on 5 Reasons Sports, Chris Kaufman said Josina Anderson and Jay Glazer are the gold standard, and I agree with that. And this is what Josina Anderson had to say. We got a couple things here. And then we're going to go into, is it even doable? Okay. Now, fast forward, rewind a bit. If you remember, I did a show before I started the Patreon and giving inside information to the Patreon. I did a show where I told all y'all about Greer and Flores, from what I told, were the ones pushing for Deshaun, and Steve Ross was the one who was hesitant, right? And he wouldn't sign off on a trade, but he did sign off on a trade prior. And you know what I mean? I heard that, and then I reported to all you that I heard they were going to allow, they wanted to see what they had in Tua before they made a decision, you know, when training camp approached, like all these things I told you. And then PFN put an article out, an article a couple weeks later, and verified everything that I was basically saying. So on that stream, so, you know, anyways, but it never hit mainstream media, right? Well, now it's actually hit mainstream media, and Josina Anderson is actually saying a lot of the things I've already said to y'all that I've heard about the Dolphins and Deshaun Watson. Number one, let's see what this is what was said on CBS Sports earlier today. I want to play that for you guys, and then we'll go. She posted something on her own Twitter. So this is what remember I told you that there was, you know, people were like, oh, reason saying there's a struggle. I said, no, there's not a struggle. It's Greer and Flores want Watson. Ross isn't signing off, from what I understood, right? So let's hear what Josina has to say here.
It is great to be joined by our new senior NFL insider, Josina Anderson, here on CBS Sports HQ. Welcome aboard, Josina. You've been digging into this situation over the last 24 hours. What are you hearing about the Watson situation as it stands right now?
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate you guys having me on CBS Sports HQ. Let's get right to the Deshaun Watson stuff. Here's the thing. Everybody wants to know what's going on with Deshaun Watson and any potential trade talks surrounding him. But the first thing is that anything can still happen once a team meets the asking price of the Houston Texans. And from everything I understand, okay, that's still 3 first-round picks plus 3 additional assets, whatever combination that may be between draft picks or a player. But my understanding as of this morning is that, quote, nothing firm has still materialized. So let's run through these teams real quick. First, let's start off with the Miami Dolphins, a team that has been connected in these talks for Deshaun Watson. My understanding right now is that there have been no substantive talks with regards to the specifics of a compensation package as of training camp, which I find.
So there you go. Pause. I'm going to continue. Josina Anderson is telling you right now that the Miami Dolphins and Houston Texans have not talked an actual trade package since training camp. Continuing on.
Very, very interesting, particularly when you consider the fact that Tua Tagovailoa is on IR with those fractured ribs since week 2, suffered versus the Buffalo Bills, and Jacoby Brissett has also stepped in as starter. But my understanding is that there are members in the Dolphins brass who are interested in pulling the trigger, but that the trepidation still sits with owner Stephen Ross, rather.
There you go. What did she just say? She told you what I reported to you guys months ago. I told y'all with ball games sitting up here that that Ross and Greer and people in the front office want him, but Stephen Ross will not sign off. And she just said there are people in the Dolphins brass that want Watson, but Stephen Ross still has trepidation about the trade. See? That's telling you right there he won't sign off. So, you know, everyone shits on Mike Florio's credibility. I do too. I think Mike Florio's a clown. I don't think he's very credible. I think he reaches a lot. So, anyways, I'm just saying.
Regards to the pending allegations that are still out there. And Chris, before we get to the legal situation real quick, I just want to run through the other teams that have been involved in these talks at some point or another. When it comes to Denver, yes, they did have talks with the Houston Texans, but ultimately backed out with concerns over the allegations. We know that Carolina did make an offer, but right now we know that they are happy with Sam Darnold. And when it comes to Philly, there have been discussions there as well. But the impression is that there's still some trepidation, even though there's a report out there that they are ready to pull the green light. But again, going back to the conversations that I've had, even up through this morning, is that nothing firm has materialized to the point where I can tell you that anything is imminent.
So there you go. Nothing is imminent on Deshaun Watson. Nothing has materialized. Nothing is firm. So anyways, Josina Anderson then later on the day, she goes live on, because here's the thing, what I wasn't comprehending with Florio's thing and now Dono saying what he's saying. I'm like, okay, if Dono's saying what he's saying, that's a better offer than what Glazer said they turned down. They would take that right away. And if you go look at what Florio's saying about Stephen Ross is, if Stephen Ross is making it known to Chris Greer and Brian Flores that he wants Deshaun Watson, if I'm Chris Greer, I'm making the trade, because if I get Greer and Flores doesn't get it right, I can at least save my ass, say to Stephen Ross, hey, I got you, your guy. Brian Flores just didn't get the offensive side of the ball right with his coaching staff, and it's not on me. I got the guys Flores said he needed. I got the quarterback you wanted. I'm doing my job. And it just would make more sense if Ross wants him that badly and you're sputtering right now, it just doesn't make sense that Greer wouldn't pull the trigger. So things weren't just jiving for me. And now Josina Anderson, who's as legit as Jay Glazer comes out, says this. I'm like, boom. And now this is what she said earlier today. I'm going to show you guys. And this has nothing about not wanting a player or not wanting to get rid of a player or move on from a player. This was like, all these reports are not jiving right now. So this is what Josina Anderson said again later on. It was today. It was only about 4 hours ago.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Undefined. I said I wasn't going to start until next week, but I just wanted to do a quick report on Deshaun Watson and repeat some of the things that I had said early this morning in case some of you guys missed it. Because basically everybody wants to know what's going on with Deshaun Watson and any potential trade talks surrounding him. I think the first thing I want to say real quickly is that anything can always happen at any time, okay? As long as also, and once there is a team that also meets the Texans' asking price. My understanding is right now that is still 3 first-round picks and a combination of 3 assets, whether that be draft pick, players, or however else that other side works. But as of this morning, my understanding as well was that there is no firm offer that has come to fruition to the point of me saying that something is imminent right now. So let's just run through the teams that have been connected to the Deshaun Watson talks. Let's start off with Miami. When it comes to the Dolphins, my understanding is that there's been no substantive dialogue with regards to the specifics of a compensation package since training camp, which is very interesting when you consider the fact that Tua Tagovailoa has the fractured ribs that has put him on the IR. He's going to miss at least.
So even there, again, she told all y'all what the deal was, right? She said, again, we haven't talked since training camp, and she's going to go off and she's going to say it's interesting considering the fact that, let me see if I get this working again. Hold on, give me a sec here, people. There you go.
Kobe Brissett come in as starter right now, but my impression is that there are members of the Miami Dolphins brass who have been ready to pull the trigger. At least that's the impression that is out there. With the impression also being that owner Stephen Ross has been the one to express trepidation with the allegations still in flux, rather. So before I go on to the just kind of rounding up what I know about the legal issues, okay, let's just talk about the teams that have been connected to Deshaun Watson. When you talk about Denver in the past, yes, their leadership had discussions. Okay, that's my understanding, but backed off just with the situation still pending. Carolina made an offer, but obviously seemed to be happy with Sam Darnold now. And Philly have had discussions, but have not been at the point of pulling the trigger yet. Because obviously nothing has happened, so the trigger's not been pulled at this point. So that really just kind of shows you that everything kind of comes down to the context of the legal issue. So here's what I know real quick, because I have a live stream starting pretty soon here with the crew kind of rebroadcasting in 2 minutes. So let me hurry up. When it comes to the legal case, my understanding is that there's nothing new going on right now with the case, meaning no new talks. It doesn't mean that anything won't happen, just not the case right now. And really the situation is that, you know, it could really still take a long time for a favorable outcome to come about, 1 to 2 years potentially, if you're going to play it all the way to the end. But the news is that the civil depositions in the case will start to take place either Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. And my understanding is that the state has not yet indicated when they are ready to present the grand jury case when it comes to the criminal case. So the issue right now for owners with regards to any team that potentially is interested, of the ones that I mentioned, because I also heard that no new teams have entered the discussion, is that they have to decide, are they willing to put the dice in front of the table? Okay, and go ahead and make a decision on Deshaun Watson without the finality and complete clarity of achieving full adjudication in this case, especially when you consider the trade deadline that's looming, because after that, okay, Deshaun Watson is not going to play, holding true to the fact that he's not going to play for the Texans. So you have to keep an eye on the trade deadline there. So we will see how everything materializes. Anything can always change at any second. That's the nature of news. But that is the latest of what I know on the Deshaun Watson case. Keep it locked on. Undefined Season 2 will officially debut next week. All right, guys.
There you go. So Josina's really locked in, and she's letting y'all know that there's really no advancement on the front of the legal case right now. And as far as the Dolphins are concerned, according to her, we have not even talked trade packages since at least training camp. So, and she tells all y'all what I've been saying, that Stephen Ross is the one that I was told is hesitant. That's why I'm adamant, if they're going to be trading for him, if they're trading for Deshaun Watson, I think it'll happen in the offseason. I do not think it'll happen before the trade deadline. So let's go into, now I've shown you all that stuff, the news that's come out the past 24 hours regarding all this. And let's see if it's doable right now, because there's a couple things I want to look at. Firstly, there's a good thread by Patrick Creighton of 97.5 ESPN radio, okay? So this is a thread, and this is about Jay Glazer saying to keep your eyes on the Deshaun Watson situation. So while grand jury isn't expected to hear Watson case till after the trade deadline, the idea it's moving slowly shouldn't surprise anyone. Everything in this case has moved slowly because of the complex nature of the case, the multitude of accusers, and interstate issues in terms of the DMs. There was stuff in Georgia, not just Texas, etc. However, as Sports Law Lust, and Sports Law Lust is Dan Lust. He's a sports attorney heard across ESPN, CBS, and Fox. Mentioned on Late Hits, ESPN 97.5, which is Patrick Creighton's show. That's the show that he runs, late nights, right there. A couple of weeks ago, only the prosecution gets to present to the grand jury. Grand jury then decides if there's enough evidence to go to trial. High probability it gets through grand jury, meaning it goes through and then it's going to court. 10 accusers is powerful. Once grand jury says it can go to trial and Watson is indicted, he goes on exempt list from that moment until all charges are resolved. That alone could take a full calendar year. And you're talking about starting no earlier than mid-November, early December. Now, after he finishes all the criminal issues, whether he beats them, takes a plea, found guilty, whatever the outcome is, doesn't matter. Now the clock starts on the 22 civil suits, because remember, they're going to handle the criminal first, then the civil suits. And NFL investigation by Goodell and Friel. With all the accusers involved, highly likely Watson's suspension is 1 year or more, and it says in brackets he will be suspended. And they're basing that off the fact that even when Ezekiel Elliott got off of his accusations and everything was dropped against him, he was still suspended for 6 games. So because of the extent of this and the magnitude this has gone to and how it's looked on the league, they're expecting him to be suspended. So, and this is a pro-Texans tweet. So for the Texans, Watson will sit this year, likely on commission exempt list by December, possibly on exempt list through most, if not all of 22, then faces NFL suspension and civil suits. That's 2023 as a realistic target for his return to an NFL field and possibly later. So, while the NFL isn't getting involved until Watson's formally charged, if Miami or Philly or whomever wants to deal for him and play him right now, let them. Get a couple picks and wash your hands, because hands will only get dirtier going forward. So he's basically saying trade him now, because if you don't, this might get a whole lot uglier. And in terms of not like, oh, he's guilty, but in terms of the complexity of when he will even be able to play. Because if the grand jury goes through against him and he gets indicted, he will go on the exempt list right away. So I wanted to put that out there for people to see that this is not as cut and dry. That's why these teams are so locked in on getting protected picks. And the problem now you have with protected picks is this. What if we, like, let's say I'm the Eagles and I want to trade the 3 first rounders I have this year. What if this doesn't get settled until after this draft when you've already used the protected picks? How does that work? That's the problem. You don't even if you protect the picks, what if the draft happens that they're picked in and then the hammer comes down? Rashad asks, wouldn't the Texans just cut him after this year? I think the dead cap is hit against him is more than actually having him on the roster. And that's even why I think these teams are all waiting him out till the offseason, because they know how desperate Carolina will be in the offseason before the new league year starts on the opening day of free agency. That's why. People are just waiting because in the offseason, his value is going to plummet. Shout out to Irving for the $1.49 super sticker. His value will plummet. They'll either cut him and take the dead cap hit and you can just sign him, or he's going to be worth not very much at all because they just want to get rid of him and get that cap off the books. That was a great throw by Trevor Lawrence. The feet were in. Wow, great throw by Trevor Lawrence. So they're just going to wait. They're just going to wait until the offseason, and all the teams, they're just going to wait. I'm telling you that's what's going to happen because of how cheap they're expecting him to become. That's what it is. He's going to be at his cheapest and lowest selling point come the offseason. And the thing is, people are saying, why won't Houston trade him now? The problem is Houston's not just budging. They can trade him now, but it's at the other team's price. Anyways, the other issue that's at hand for the Miami Dolphins is as follows. The other issue at hand is the salary cap. Right now, the Miami Dolphins only have about 1.6 million in salary cap. And the problem with that is that Deshaun Watson's current salary next year, he goes up to $40 million. Next year's the year where it bumps up. Next year it goes up to 40 million and he has a dead cap of 51.2. But this year he has a cap hit of $15.9 million. So you need to find basically almost $15 million on your roster right now to make room. So in season trading for Deshaun Watson would lead to you having to get rid of Xavier Howard right now, or having to get rid of a big contract on defense right now, because you don't really have big contracts on offense. What are you going to? They don't want DVP. They're rebuilding. They don't want a broken down guy who can't stay healthy. You don't have a lot of big contracts on offense to move right now. All your big contracts are on defense. So you would need to deplete your defense for Deshaun Watson to get the cap space right now. Yeah, Fin, you'd have to send like Jerome Baker. Well, Baker's contract doesn't even kick in till next year, I think. And whoever said Brissett is better than Tua is retarded, and you don't know football. So yeah, the problem is right now the cap, even for the $15 million hit, how are you going to find that money right now? You're going to have to take away from the winning product. That's the problem. You're going to have to take away from your defense, and that's the heart and soul of this team. That's an issue. So not only do you have the legal ramifications we went over, now you've got a team that has $1.67 million in cap space and needs to find room for a $15.9 million hit. You need to find $14.3 million. And K-Jax, yes, I get they can restructure. The problem is they already asked a whole bunch of guys to restructure in the offseason. Some of them ain't here anymore, i.e. Kyle Van Noy. Some of them already did. You would need to do a lot of legwork. So you need to create cap space, and you need to deal with the legal ramifications. That's what the problem is. Dude, yes, Tua would have done better last week. Jacoby Brissett is averaging like 4 yards an attempt right now. Tua Tagovailoa is averaging 7.6 yards per attempt. Tua Tagovailoa actually pushed the ball against the New England Patriots. Brissett has not pushed the ball at all yet, minus a few, and because that average I gave you of just over 4 yards is with all those big throws he's made. Brissett is legitimately a dink and dunker. Brissett does not know how to read RPOs. Go back, watch the film breakdowns. Brissett's not that good, dude. 32 completions and you throw for 215 yards. We average more yards per rush than we do per pass with Jacoby Brissett leading this team. And that's the story over two games in a row. So not even close. Anyways, when you look at the legal ramifications and you look at the financial situation right now, you have to ask yourself, is Deshaun Watson doable right now for the Miami Dolphins? I don't think it is. I think when the Miami Dolphins will make this move, if they're going to make it, will be the offseason. And it's going to be at a price that they'll move on. So I think they may try and get this guy for, like they do all their shopping on a bargain. I think they're going to wait it out. I don't see them making the move before the trade deadline because of everything that I've just shown you. And I truly believe that they are going to be in the market for Deshaun Watson if Tua doesn't show them enough this season, and in the offseason is when they will try and pull the trigger on Deshaun Watson. Now, that's just the reality of the situation. They already almost pulled the trigger before the allegations hit. If he doesn't get indicted, if the grand jury, it goes to grand jury and they decide not to follow through with the trial and he doesn't get indicted, this may hasten the process if that happens before the trade deadline. But I don't see this all playing out before the trade deadline. And it is even realistic, as they showed, this could lead to a 2023 thing. So even if you are going to trade for Deshaun Watson, why trade Tua Tagovailoa? Because you may need him. As much as Alabama fans don't want to hear it. So, but that's where we're at with the Deshaun Watson stuff that we all knew would not go away if the Dolphins didn't start off real fast. If they started off, man, if Tua was healthy and we were sitting at 3-0, we wouldn't even be hearing the Deshaun Watson stuff right now. Let's call a spade a spade. So there's the update on everything. Now, as far as what I've heard, I gave you guys some stuff that I've heard. I'm going to keep digging, but I personally don't think this is going to happen before. I personally don't think this is going to happen before the trade deadline, but anything is possible. So I've dropped the link for you guys to come up here. I'll give you guys a little bit of time up here. But the Watson stuff will not go away. It's just another day in Dolphins paradise. Lucky us. So dropping the link. Cash, what's going on, dude?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, buddy? Nelson, what's going on, man?
What's up, Reason? What's up, Cash? How y'all doing?
Out here, bro, living life. Darth Logan, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, man?
Dylan, what's going on, man?
Chilling, man. Appreciate the very in-depth look at everything.
Yeah, man. So, Josina's saying we haven't even talked with them about a package since training camp. I mean, she and everything else she said backed up everything I had heard and already reported. So I'm gonna lean towards her and Glazer on this one. You know what I mean? Like I proved. That Dunno report doesn't really jive with what Glazer said, man. It's kind of contradicting of himself. So, and that's just that's how I see the situation. I'm gonna actually have a tidbit going up on the Patreon tonight. A few things that I've heard from someone actually close to Houston. So,
I mean, I think it's just the every so often it's popping up thing. I think that's all, because there's really nothing new here.
Not at all, man.
It's just not going to go away. It's just not going to go away until something definitive happens. That's all.
Well, I mean, some is kind of new. I mean,
the training camp thing is new, at least.
Yeah, and Ross,
a little bit.
actually having trepidation about it.
I reported that months ago, bro.
Yeah, that's not new.
Yeah,
my thing is though. Yeah, my thing is like we talked about before, though. I think it's always that, okay, it dies down for a few weeks, but then Houston or Watson's agent are like, all right,
dude, at least
put it
we
back
know
out there. Let's light up the fires again.
November 2nd is the trade deadline.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen by then, at least we don't have to hear about it till like February.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
They just got no time.
Yeah, I mean,
they gotta get the exposure and try to get this deal done.
Because I'm telling you right now, I mean, sooner or later, Watson is going to be a Dolphin.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean,
I think it's the offseason. If it's happening, I think it's the offseason.
Yeah. If not now,
If it happens before the trade deadline, I do think it would be Miami, though. But it would only be because it would be a desperation move, thinking that he could save the season if things don't play out well over the next few weeks.
Right. And that's what scares the crap out of me. Because, again, if we try to do this whole let's try to salvage a season, because your crappy offensive line got Tua hurt, then you had to, hope that Brissett would give you a couple wins, and that doesn't happen. Or, God forbid, Tua's out even longer. Then you give all this assets and all this cap, all this stuff you have to change, and then it doesn't work anyway. And then next year we're screwed all over again, just with the same problems, with an addition, Watson being on top of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. This front office makes me uncomfortable with their decisions because, they've already
queasy is a good word.
They already messed up with their evaluations on that offensive side of the ball, their draft picks, and they can't seem to make a right decision there. And then now you got this big decision that we're relying on them to make correctly. And can they do that?
Shit.
Track record says no, man.
Yeah,
So,
my experience tells me no.
50-50.
My experience with this team tells me no, and it's not just. To be fair, it's not just Greer and Flores.
That's PTSD, man.
It's
think of how much more.
It's not.
I want people to think about how mad y'all will be when they spend a fifth on Tua, 3 firsts, and a couple of seconds or third
my God.
on Watson, and they still don't. And then they still don't put the right stuff around Watson to be successful. And now you're wasting a guy who you went from, okay, well, he's an unproven commodity. We don't know what he got to. Now we got a proven commodity. Why aren't you winning with him?
But that's why I don't want to do it to begin with, because there's too much. Look, okay, the one argument for doing it, is that he's a top 5 quarterback. Everything else is an argument against it. How much it's going to cost in cap hit and draft capital, the baggage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everything you just went through, right? So it's like, but that is same old Dolphins. I could see them doing it because they think it's fucking.
They should wait till the off season, man.
But what gets me is the fact that they think, yes, okay, Watson is a for sure upgrade. Will Watson do better with this O-line? For sure. But if you think for one fucking second Watson would get this done in the playoffs against a Tampa Bay or LA Rams, are you fucking kidding me? We'll be a first-round bounce.
Well, look, I don't know.
We got a defense.
Yeah,
but here's the thing.
Looking at it like that. All right, go.
Go ahead.
But the other thing.
Hold on a sec, Cash. Go.
I got a question for you. Do you think
no, Cash. I want it.
Look. I don't even think that they're looking at it like that. I think they're just looking at it specifically for that position, the quarterback position, not necessarily what's going to happen outside of that. I just think that once they figure out or feel like, they have the guy, right? Everybody knows that if you get a Watson on your team, you have a guy, right? He's in the caliber, of a top 10, top 8, 7, 6, maybe even 5.
They want to get him because they don't have to worry about the position anymore.
They don't have to worry about that anymore, right? You know what I mean? So I don't even necessarily.
My whole thing is they won't be the regime to enjoy the fruits of Watson's labor if they make the trade. That's what I think.
That's what I see. And look,
it costs too much.
I'm not, I like Tua. I went to a practice. I seen Tua. I advocate for Tua. I've seen progress in Tua, but there's no denying that Watson is an upgrade over Tua. Is specifically for the position.
There's more than 25 teams. There's more than 25 teams in the NFL. He's an upgrade over their current situation.
Yeah.
But what irritates me,
there's too much bad with that.
Yeah, but the thing that irritates me is people want to get off of the whole just the pick situation and whatever. That the pick situation, not only losing the capital, but what a lot of people don't take into account is now you don't have said picks. So you have to replenish this roster. Contracts are going to come up. And if you're going to continue to get bottom of the barrel guys, you cannot get quality proven players for that many missing draft picks and hope that your late round picks are going to develop into good, solid players
Yeah,
you're basically
but
putting
that's
the
kind of how
entire
the-
team
but
on
in
That's
all-
the
Deshaun
entire
Watson.
team right now. That's the entire team right now.
In all fairness, that's what's happened. Their first rounds aren't hitting anyways, and it's the guys from the second and beyond that they're hitting on.
But it just compounds it, because then you put everything on Watson, and especially because, like you mentioned, especially right now, because if they were to do it like this season before the deadline, they might even have to get rid of somebody, a big, prominent player on the defense, like Reason mentioned. So that's, it just, I don't know.
Well,
I think this whole
look,
argument,
currently as is where we are, where we stand today, right? Everyone is on alert. You know what I mean? Everyone is totally on alert right now. So, who cares if we look? I'm not saying that we should go get Watson, but if we get him, it is an upgrade, But to
at
me,
one position,
that's basically what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying too. The only thing is,
I don't care who we lose.
The only thing is though, the only thing is though is if he does get indicted and it's after the trade, then he goes on the exempt list, and you're.
Dude,
even if he ends up being not guilty,
that's why. Do you really take that gamble? Do you really take that gamble?
They get paid to do that, not me,
bro. That's crazy, though.
Yeah, and that's my thing, though. Is like I said in the comments, the thing is okay. Even if the grand jury comes out and like Reason just said, even if he's found not guilty, do you know how long it's going to take them to flush out 10 criminal cases? Dude, you're talking 2 or 3 years. They're not going to do this back to back to back to back. They got to give lawyers time to review the evidence and all that stuff. It's going to take a long time to go through 10 of them.
Look, man.
Yeah, thank you for that information, bro. Yeah, that opened my eyes on that.
Look, it's a pros and a cons thing. Look, Watson is a phenomenal player, and you upgraded the one position, but the list of cons, that's the one pro. But the list of cons, not only are there many, but they're all huge things.
Yeah.
I do care about who we lose. I'm not trying to lose a Xavier Howard to go get a Deshaun Watson when I have confidence in Tua, right? Like I would rather have Tua not give up on him and cause that entire draft class to be basically shit, and then also have to pay him $40 million next year, deal with the legal issues, deal with giving up the next 3 years worth of draft capital. No, screw all of that. Like, it's bad business, bro.
Well,
it's
Dylan,
bad business and bad things to center your organizational philosophies around. I think it's crap.
Yo, I agree, and that's where I said even if Tua doesn't.
Hold on, CT. Let Soren go. He's been trying to say something.
Yeah, well,
my bad.
Dylan, the thing is though, when you're talking about all the other stuff that it would affect, you have to realize that when you have a top 5 QB, that covers a lot of your weaknesses.
Nah, I don't care. I don't.
That's all I wanted to say.
People make that. And this is not against you, my dude. This is not against you. But when people say that, because I'm one of those people that doesn't believe in the all you have to have is the elite quarterback thing.
But it helps a lot.
I get that. And I'm not saying it doesn't. What I'm saying is I like a more well-balanced approach.
Yeah.
I mean, again, people hate Tannehill in this community, but look what they did with Tannehill in Tennessee when they actually built something around him. Sam Darnold. It doesn't matter, bro. Like
it's
Tom Brady was not a first-round
Terrible
pick.
example to me. Terrible example because Tennessee is not dependent on Tannehill.
That's
my
point.
That's
kind of what he's saying.
That's hugely debatable. Because the statistics.
Literally my
point. Want me to tell you where Tannehill is effective? Tannehill is effective in the play action. Want me to tell you why? Because everybody knows.
No one's arguing that.
Off to Henry.
Yeah.
No one's arguing that.
No, what we're arguing is the stats say that Derrick Henry was nowhere near as productive as he was before Tannehill got there, compared to when Tannehill was there.
And he has performed really well since he's been there.
But bottom line, though,
he's not motherfucking Locker.
First of all, one at a time.
Okay,
second of all, I get what he's trying to say, but okay, here's the thing. This is what you have to start to ask yourself, though. Do you? And I've been asking this, and this is what I said. Why I don't trust. They're not going to. This regime is not going to properly build around Tua as is, which is why I don't think they'll probably build around Watson when they get him. They'll just ask him to do more. And the whole thing is if Watson was the world beater that everyone makes him out to be, they would have never had to trade for Laramie Tunsil. So the other thing is, what I'm basically saying is,
and he's got a bunch of injuries.
What I'm basically saying is, if you look at this team as like a 7 or 8 win team with Tua right now, with how many holes they have on offense, what you're going to add 2 games, 3 games for Watson, and then if you make the playoffs, you're knocked out in the first round, and that's basically what you're dealing with. Like, people need to realize Watson will not fix the play designs, the inept coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball right now, and he will not fix this offensive line. Because here's the thing. Again, if he didn't need an offensive line, why have they been trying to get it right for so long in Houston around him? It's because they wanted to make a push from a playoff team to a Super Bowl contender because they realized without the line, we're not winning a Super Bowl with Deshaun Watson. So what basically people are kind of admitting to is, I want Watson for now, even if I know that doesn't mean I'm going to win a championship or they haven't built a championship team, just because I want to say we have Deshaun Watson. That's why I'm sitting here saying I don't trust them to build. They have proven they can't build around a number 5 overall pick when they had over $260 million to spend last year.
Right.
And then the last 2 drafts, they've had 5 first-round picks alone. We don't ought to get even into how many second and third-round picks they've had in addition to that. So they had 11 picks last year going into the draft, and this year they had like 11 again or something like that. Like heading into the draft before they did their trades and moving around and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I agree, and I want to add on that real quick.
Hold on, I'm not done. So they've had all of this, and they couldn't get it right. That tells me, veteran or rookie, it don't matter who you have back there. They just don't have what it takes to evaluate and get it right. And it doesn't matter whether it's in the draft, i.e. Austin Jackson and such, or whether it doesn't matter whether it's in free agency, i.e. letting Jermaine Illuminor walk, and now he's the best interior lineman in the NFL right now this year so far. Like, they do not, on the offensive side of the football, they just do not have it right. And Deshaun Watson isn't suddenly overnight going to fix all the problems on the offensive side of the football. And all they're trying to do is extend their shelf life. When go ahead, trade for Deshaun Watson. Go. I would still fire your ass because I would say I want to walk into 2022 with a whole new regime around this guy.
That's
because
the rebuild reason.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No. That's a soft reboot. A reboot build is I'm tearing everything down.
I like that.
I go and I bring in an offensive-minded coach that can get this offensive side of the football right, and we hire a experienced defensive coordinator that can work with the personnel we already have. So someone who's familiar with 3-4, 3-3-5 concepts and a hybrid defense based off the secondary. That's what I do. I basically am finding guys that I know can work with the assets I already have. And I'm going, because here's the thing. Guess what, guys? They just used all these assets these last 2 years, and they've been whiffing left, right, and center. Well, guess what? We got 3 first-round picks over the next 2 years. You want to trust them with those picks too?
Nope.
Yeah. No. But the thing
and
is,
I get that, but what I was trying to say real quick, because I was trying to, before we get way off topic. So I want to give expound 2 more examples of what Reason was saying about the offensive line situation. Is again, is Patrick Mahomes running wise the same as Deshaun Watson? No, but he also extends plays and whatever. And in that Super Bowl, Tampa Bay exposed them, absolutely exposed them with the terrible offensive line. The second one is also Lamar Jackson. Is in the first in his really good seasons, he's had pretty average to really good lines. The last year when he didn't have a good line and they had some injuries up front, guess what? He was running for his life, and he is faster than Deshaun Watson and more elusive than Deshaun Watson, and he still struggled last year behind a bad offensive line. Period.
Yeah. I mean,
look, they almost lost to Detroit.
Yeah, the thing is though is like even if you do the soft reboot, if you go for Watson, right? I totally get that I don't trust this regime to build around him because they failed at it. But the problem with the soft reboot is even if you bring in guys who are capable of handling that, you hamstring them right off the rip because one, you whiffed for the past few years on your picks, but then two, you then trade away all your future picks for the next 3 years. So then the next regime then doesn't have anything to use, and then you also have to pay the quarterback a ton of money, which then even if you have
but you can clear up to you can walk into free agency with $110 million this year if you clear up. So that's still $70 million. So what you'd have to do is the new regime would have to be able to get it done in free agency in the first 2 years.
And that's where I don't think they can, like I was saying earlier. That was the whole
we don't
thing,
know
is
who the
trying to
new
replenish
regime
all
is.
those players.
So you don't know who the new regime would be, so you don't know whether they can get it done.
Well, but you would be starting them off with having to clear that cap space, though.
It's hard. It's harder to hit in the draft than it is free agency. Free agency are proven commodities at the NFL level.
Yeah. And I agree, but what I was trying to say though is with the whole. Yeah, and I agree. I'm just saying in free agency, because of the jump in the cap, these players are going to want more and more money. So that $112 million may not go as far as it did the year before or 2 years before that, because the players want their money too, and they're not stupid.
Yeah, but even when they were just before COVID hit, when they were at their high point, it was only increasing $10 million per year. We're not going to get some massive $100 million leap in the salary cap.
No, I know. I was just saying the difference between 80 and 112. Whereas when we did that reboot, 3 years ago when Flores started and they brought in all that money that they wasted, I'm just saying that, in years to come, the players are going to be more expensive too, because they're very well aware of the new TV deals. Yeah, that's all I was saying. That's all.
That's economics in every sport. I'm not too worried about that.
My biggest question is with this team is why didn't they invest in the O-line in free agency last year? Because there were so many offensive linemen that we could have gotten, like Joe Thuney.
That's what's so infuriating.
Corey Linsley.
Corey Linsley was the move to make.
Oh yeah, my question is why did they not try and invest in this offensive line when you had proven guys like that available, and when you had Penei Sewell fall into their laps at number 6?
Because they didn't. Because they didn't value. Well, first of all, Jalen Waddle was the second highest graded player on their board, so clearly they went best BPA. And then they just, if you look at how they spent, they were very frivolous. Like they were in Aaron Jones before Aaron Jones resigned. That looks like that was going to be their splash, and then he resigned. But other than that, they didn't restructure anyone of significance. They could have restructured Byron right away and create a whole bunch of money. Yeah. They didn't restructure, and they spent on depth on the defensive line. They traded for McKinney, so that was to help stop the run. They added depth to the secondary because they run a lot of 5-6 DB packages. Yeah, they didn't have money like the year before, right? The year before they
also were in on Watson until the allegations hit, and that was going to have to be a big part of
the thing.
Well, he was only $15 million this year, though, so that they could have still spent money and then based it around.
Yeah, but that was still a big piece of their plan, though, at the time.
And the thing with
but the allegations hit the night before free agency hit. I don't.
No, I know, but by the time when that happened, though. I'm saying it changed, and then by then, like all the top free agents and stuff were already gone and re-signed. So like he was part of their plan. So they may have, because of that, in part because of that, may have ignored some of those other free agents. But then by the time they, you got
to look at it. Who was really out there in the tackle market? Taylor Moton got tagged. No big tackles were really out there. Orlando Brown, you had to trade for assets for.
And the thing is, with
Hudson, you had to trade assets for. Trent Brown, you had to trade assets for. And look at them historically. These guys don't historically, like Greer doesn't historically trade. Like they could have got Trent Williams for a 3rd and a 5th. Why didn't they get Trent Williams before he got traded.
Then,
Like,
speaking of Chris, I even read an article today, and the article was saying we should have 2 GMs. We should have Greer, doing all the wheeling and dealing,
Dude,
and then we should bring in another GM to do the scouting. And
we have Marvin Allen and Reggie McKenzie in there, so we have like 3 GMs. So I mean,
yeah, but Greer, my thing is Greer, he's quick to pull when he's getting something, but when he's having to pay for something, he seems real hesitant on the trigger.
And the thing with Jalen Waddle is that, for the record, I like Jalen Waddle. I think he can be he definitely has a lot of potential, and they valued him a lot. But right now, Waddle is looking way more of a luxury pick than a need.
Oh yeah,
I think the pick definitely should. The pick definitely should have been.
Yeah.
Them giving up 2 first-round picks for that position, the pick should definitely.
I wasn't lying when I was driving that train through everyone's neighborhood going choo-choo. I wasn't lying. Penei Sewell was the fucking pick to make in that draft.
Right. Or Slater.
Waddle was the pick to make if you didn't sign Fuller.
We don't even use Waddle correctly,
and this draft class was loaded with receivers. We could have easily gone.
Exactly.
If you don't sign Fuller and
you could have drafted Penei Sewell.
And then Rondell Moore in the second round.
Just trade up from 50 to get Ronald Ward because he went at 49.
And I see some of these comments saying like Chase, so we should have got Chase or whatever.
Oh,
even if we had Chase or if we had Smith, we would
that's stat watching.
Way. Yeah, we would use them the same exact way as we're using Waddle right now. We wouldn't be using them correctly. So
Chase
doesn't matter.
Chase, all of his touchdowns have been on like go routes,
deep passes, bro. Like even in this game,
like we haven't even used Waddle regularly on goal routes. Like if you go look at Chase, even that big catch he had today, I'm pretty sure was a go route up the sideline. Like they haven't even been using an expansive route tree for Chase over there. We're over there basically just stab routes, screens, and
but they're using it. They're letting him focus on his strength, though, right? That's like his strength. So I mean, they're basically just saying, "Hey,
everyone,
go do your strength."
Look at what we used to run go routes with Josh Rosen because Josh Rosen could throw them. Burrow's just putting it in in his breadbasket for him to run under. Like they're not really challenging like to the sidelines or anything like that. Like he's not out there shaking people's boots and shit.
Yeah.
And I agree, but it's the whole
yard catches. So
we wouldn't even probably use Chase on
the coaches are playing to his strengths versus with us with Waddle. Yeah, again, we're doing the same shit. How many freaking streaks and go routes did Fuller run this weekend? And granted, I get it. Fuller's a speed guy. He's not necessarily a Jamar Chase. But the thing is we already got that type of player. The thing is we got to start using the players we have to their strengths and stop screwing ourselves and shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah. By the way, I like that. I like that Waddle said something today or yesterday or whatever. It was like, yeah, I want to get more yards after the catch, and that's cool, rookie. I love you, and I appreciate you for it. But it's not really, and I get that's part of your game too. But the coaches need to help you out a little bit too, man. Like they're not doing him any fucking favors, and so like I get that he's taking the responsibility on himself and he wants to do more, but they got to help him out, man. This is like it's garbage. It's been garbage the first few weeks. In that regard,
I just wanted to go ahead, Florida one.
Do you think Miami will make any moves, Reason, other than this Watson shit? Do you like Decker or what's his name, the running back from Indianapolis?
Marlon Mack.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't see them making any big moves.
Nope. At least
that's why I don't even see them doing Watson right now.
Yeah,
that's the one move I could see them doing because but again, if it's a desperation type move, if the next few weeks don't pan out, right? Because if that's the case, that would be their. I mean, all indications are that would be their answer for the bad offensive line and so on and so forth. Not that they would think, oh, well, we should go get an offensive lineman. That doesn't seem to be their train of thought. So if they were going to make a move, that would be the only one I can see, and it would be under those circumstances.
How many games until we get to play before the trade deadline?
Like
4
or 5.
4 or 5, something like that.
All right. If he stinks up the joint, they're going to pull the trigger, and they're just going to hold on to Watson and just wait it out until all of that shit's
That's
done.
what I feel like. That's been the plan all along for them. I feel like right now, what this team has been doing, I feel like Watson is just inevitable. With the way this team is
he gets 3 games. He gets 3 games before.
He has a 3-game audition.
The problem is they're not going to trade for him if this grand jury stuff hasn't been settled, guys.
Thank you. That's
then you trade everything. He gets indicted. He goes on the exempt list, and you have nothing.
And his value will only go down.
They're not. Yeah, they're waiting. They're going to wait for the offseason, man. Because if he goes on he's going to go on the exempt list, and then he's going to remain on the exempt list during the offseason until the grand jury stuff is done, until the criminal stuff plays out. Then the civil stuff and the NFL's own investigation has to play out. Then you got to worry about the repercussions from the NFL because, like I said, Zeke got 6 games and he got free off domestic charges. Even if this guy gets cleared of everything, he's still going to get a multi-game suspension.
Desperation is a sticky cologne, my friend.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, what good is getting him?
I mean, I agree with you.
If you get him on what week is that? That's after you get him for week 9 and he misses 6 games.
It really sucks to say because again, I am a Tua believer, but I'm telling you right now, Tua got 3 games
when they're gonna make it.
I'll make you a bet.
I'll make you a bet.
Either that or Aaron Rodgers or it's gonna be somebody else. He got 3 games.
They're not gonna make a trade like that, bro.
But that's
it's Watson or anyone. They're not going to trade for it's Watson or nothing. They're not going to trade for Rodgers or one of those guys, bro.
And that's what I was
Watson and they're not going to.
It would be Watson,
dude.
If anybody.
If they were saying if Josina Anderson is right and they have not talked to trade packages, trade camp, and Tua's already missed 2 weeks, they're not. They're not. And I'm including the Bills game because he's basically out. And they got to roll with Jacoby Brissett. Dude, a desperate team would have been on the phone as soon as Tua went down because it would have said, experiments over.
They might not be in the full desperation. They might not be in the full desperation. I don't think
that they think the experiment's over because it was literally 9 plays. So they don't even think that they really got a chance to see exactly what he got. But I think that the position that they're in, because Flores will be in the hot seat.
Yeah, but that 3-game schedule is the Jaguars, the Falcons, and then the Bills. You only got one team that you can actually see what Tua might have. That's not even enough sample size to see what you have by the trade deadline.
And there's also
they haven't given him a fair shot to this point.
Look, what I'm saying is if they're already but if they're not going to give him a fair shot anyways, that means they'd already be out on him and they already would have made the trade.
I mean, that's
they got hurt.
That's a good point.
No, they were waiting for. They
got all the way up to the trade deadline.
No. The reason they have not made the trade yet is because of Houston's asking price. That's the reason why they've been waiting them out.
Well, that's the first reason.
Because the Texans wanted like 5 first-round picks, and now it's starting.
No, they
to
didn't.
Soften.
They turned down 3 firsts and 3 thirds.
But now, according to that guy you mentioned earlier, they're starting to soften their stance.
And the Dolphins
but they never asked for 5 firsts, is what I'm saying.
And the Dolphins at 1 and 2, the Dolphins at 1 and 2 aren't necessarily, at least at this early part of the season, in desperation mode from that perspective too. So I mean, things could totally change in a few weeks if the Dolphins lose, against Indy and then Tampa and then maybe beat the Jags. But what if they get upset by the Falcons and then lose to the Bills, right? So I mean, I don't know. It's not going away. It's not going away.
It's just
it's not going away.
I just feel like it definitely could happen before the trade deadline because near the end of training camp, they tried to make him run for Watson, and Houston was asking for a king's ransom, and they backed off. So if that close to happening, then I don't see why it couldn't happen before the deadline.
Right, and it's totally unfair that Tua is competing with a guy. Right? That's not even on this fucking
You guys
team.
are missing my point, though. If it's going to be happening, it would be happening right now. You guys are missing my fucking point. You guys are like, they're just going to wait. What are they waiting for? If they were already trying to make a deal before the season started, as soon as Tua goes down, that is your out on Tua. He is not durable, et cetera, et cetera. That you get on the phone. Why are you? Why would you wait to see how it plays out with Jacoby Brissett?
Maybe they're
that
trying
makes
to
no
also,
sense whatsoever.
I agree, but they also do shit that doesn't make sense, and maybe they're also trying to find a trade partner for Tua. So
I will bet anyone
quick.
up here right now that it happens in the offseason, and everyone can put their money where their mouth is right now.
I want to just say this, Dylan.
So why are we having this argument if y'all ain't even that locked in on what you're saying?
No, because I'm not saying that it's gonna happen. I'm just saying that there is still a possibility that it could happen, and that there are reasons
I'm telling you,
why
it's
they're
not.
waiting.
It would be happening right now. What are the reasons?
That's what I'm trying to say, Dylan.
What are the reasons that they're waiting for?
I hope it doesn't happen.
Here's my thing. The only thing that I can think of at this moment, and I agree with Reason, because if you thought that Jacoby Brissett is going to come in and say that, they don't believe that. The thing is so Tua got hurt. Okay, we still want to play out because we believe in Tua. We see something in him. Obviously, he needs to improve. No, he's not on Deshaun Watson's level now, but we've seen enough to go, all right, we're willing to sit this next 3 weeks. Let's see how the season plays out. Let's see when Tua comes back. Let's see what he's got, and then, like Reason said, this offseason, if Tua doesn't work out this year, then we can explore other options. But I still don't want us going and giving up all that draft capital to Deshaun Watson. I would rather say, okay, let me trade up with somebody and give him 3 first-round picks over the next 3 years and move up in this year's draft and get the first pick and get who I want, or next year, whatever. But I'm not giving up 1-2. It's 3 firsts and a second and 2 thirds, which is just essentially, instead of giving them 3 thirds, we're giving them 1 second.
I mean, why not? They can't
That's
ridiculous.
Even hit on their picks.
But they can't even hit on their picks anyways.
Yeah. If they haven't chalked a trade package since training camp, and you've lost your starting quarterback, and you're now going into the third game technically without him, you wouldn't be riding that out. You'd be making the move right away because you wouldn't want to let any chance of the season slipping away from you with what you built.
I mean, I agree
Which
with
makes me think they believe in Tua to some degree, because if not, like you said, Dylan, that desperation kicks in.
I hope you're right, and I agree with like everything that's been set up here, man. And I don't want it to happen, period. So that's how I feel about it. But look, I mean, if something does change in the next few weeks and it happens,
it's gonna happen in the offseason when it happens. I'm telling you. Right
well,
I do not think it's gonna happen this season. However, I think that Tua's play is going to determine what happens in the offseason.
Yeah, everyone has agreed. Everyone knows that. But the thing is, no one's touching this guy, especially at that asking price, before the grand jury stuff is solved. Because if you trade all of that and then he gets indicted,
you're screwed.
He's put on the exempt list. You're left holding your hand, and you don't know how it's going to end, whether he's guilty or not.
So I'm just saying, I hope that they're not that dumb to do it before the trade line. Let me put it that way. I just hope that the Dolphins don't prove to be on that level of stupidity.
They're not. You know why? Because when did you hear? When you actually do the timeline and pay attention, when did everyone start falling back? When word came out that they would not protect picks.
The protected picks.
Right.
When protected picks came out, all of a sudden, now we've heard Miami hasn't talked to them in the training camp. Carolina was talking to them even with Darnold, and then they couldn't get protected picks, backed out. Philly has backed out and is even internally talking Russell Wilson right now next offseason. So that's what I'm sitting here saying. Teams are backing off because they know the timeline might be too long here. And it's one thing listen, if I trade you 3 firsts and 2 seconds and you say you're going to protect 2 of my firsts and 1 of my seconds, oh, cool. But what if those picks are this year? What if I'm the Eagles? Those 2 of those guys are this year. The draft happens. You use my picks, and then everything hits the fan for them. Then you're fucked.
Yeah,
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you.
Reason. I do have a rebuttal for when you said why didn't they make the trade right when Tua went injured. I think they didn't do it right away because they were confident in Jacoby's ability. But if they start dropping games, they were confident in Jacoby's ability for those few games, and maybe such as the Colts or the Raiders.
Confidence in his ability to lose us games.
Not with the offensive line.
Confidence in his ability to lose us games.
Come on, man. Everyone knows Tua Tagovailoa gives you a better chance to win games in the NFL than Jacoby Brissett.
No, I agree with you.
Okay, so if we're fucking guys on YouTube, what do you think they think, bro? Come on, man.
I mean, not everybody thinks that.
Yeah, but not everyone knows football, bro.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, our front office doesn't fans about Jacoby and pushing the ball down the field like he never did. He never did, and he's never done that his entire career.
The one time he threw a duck interception,
bro,
that my grandma in a wheelchair could have caught.
Jacoby got beat by a guy.
I'm not saying
it. Alarm. So man. The thing is, because you're not beating Tampa Bay with Tua or with Jacoby Brissett. It doesn't matter who back there, bro.
I hate this conversation.
Like you could have Watson back there. You're probably not even beating.
I agree
them
with Tampa, but I think they felt like the Raiders and the Colts game were winnable games with Jacoby.
You guys know who Alex Donald
and Jacoby almost did it against the Raiders. Just saying.
No, our defense almost gave him a chance to do it.
Yeah. And as much people like to hate,
everybody keeps saying that Jacoby
and the refs helped him a little bit with that.
As much as people want to hate on the overtime missed OPI or DPI, which I agree with.
The only reason we got into the overtime was a DPI
was because of DPI. Yeah, the only reason why we made it to overtime to begin with, and it took them 4 plays at the 1 yard line to finally
Wildcat.
Yeah, isn't that
if anything,
what happens when you throw the ball more than 15 yards?
If anything, Brissett lost us the game by throwing that pass to Waddle and getting the damn safety.
Yo, ship out to go to OT or something.
Yeah.
Or are they in field
goal?
goal?
No, it's not.
No, they're in field goal range.
They're in field goal.
They're in field goal
let's
range.
do some final thoughts because I got to get out of here. Let's start with you, Kane.
Cash,
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Jalen Phillips Hurricanes.
With the Canes jersey, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Phillips is coming on. That's why I wanted to go with that avatar. I'm liking that they're using it more. So that could actually be a part of my final thought. I'm actually. Hey, that's what it is, man.
This man's already missed a field goal.
Yeah. Anyways, continue, Cash.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
No. You're good. You're good. I expect a win this weekend. So I'm expecting us, to be 2-2. I'm expecting to see, at least with the line change that they made, I'm expecting some continuity with that. It's not looking good, but all is not lost. It's still early. That's all I'm focused on is us getting that win. I fuck Greer. Forget the everything else that we're talking about right now. It's really all about the W, just to exactly see where we're at. I hope to see Waddle run some routes past the 5 yard line. You know what I mean? Or 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. That's what I'm hoping for. Just I just want to see some solid football. I don't want to see a shit show. Fins up.
Nelson, your final thoughts?
All right, so once again, thanks for having me on. Good show, Reason. Much like you, I don't trust these guys. I wouldn't trust Flores and Greer to walk my dog. And sadly, these guys are really an Xavier and Howard fumble away from being 0-3.
Could be like the Jags.
Yeah. Hopefully they can get this thing turned around. And man, I just feel bad for Stephen Ross. He keeps hiring the wrong people.
You shouldn't feel bad for him there. He made the choices.
Logan, your final thoughts?
His choices.
Oh man. Yeah, I think we're gonna beat the Colts this week. It's an interesting matchup with the worst defensive line in the league against one of the worst offensive lines in the league, which would be ours. So if they can't take care of business,
they have the second worst offensive line in the league.
Yeah, they do. But I'm saying like their defensive line is one of the worst in the league against our offensive line. So that's an interesting matchup. Like if we can't take care of them,
what a game.
That'd be really sad. And then I don't know why everybody's infatuated with Jacoby Brissett. Like the guy is who he is. He's a 6-year vet. People are saying like Tua's not much of an upgrade. Well, Tua's played 11 games, guys. Like what are we comparing?
And yet he's still an upgrade.
And he's still an upgrade. And
Yeah,
people,
exactly.
I don't understand. I don't know. All right.
You can't make sense with people that don't want to make sense.
Florida born, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts are little positivity. We're going to get our heads out of our ass and run the ball.
Oh.
Gaskin's going to put up 100 yards against the Colts. Tua going to come back with a running game and light it up. Fins up.
All the way up. I like
CT,
that.
your final thoughts.
I hope to God that we can finally get through some of this Watson BS. I hope to God that we can beat the Colts. If we don't, Greer and Flo got to go. And I think that overall, no matter what happens, I always want to win. I'm a Dolphins fan first, but we also have to be realistic about the people we bring in and whether or not they're going to cause us to win and the overall circumstances. So I'm super hoping for a win this weekend. Fins up.
Dylan, your final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great show, except for I hate the Watson talk. But it is what it is because it won't go away. We got to talk about it. Other than that, man, yeah, let's go get this W because we definitely need to turn the season around one way or the other. And, I mean, y'all already talked about everything we need to do, so I'm right there with y'all. Let's get to it. Let's get to business, and let's have a successful season starting with the Colts on Sunday. Fins up.
Pyro, your final thoughts?
The end is nigh, fellas. I'm telling you right now.
What is your picture, by the way?
The Colts got one of the worst D-line. They don't mean jack shit when they play us. They're going to look like a top 5 D-line. And Watson,
they better not, man.
My bad, but Jacoby going to get sacked about like 8 times. We're going to set a fucking record on Sunday. I'm telling you right now, man. We gotta get swept. We gotta get swept by the Jets.
Pyro, Gaskins is going to be making us say Najee who.
Pyro,
we gotta
don't
get
jump,
swept
man.
by the Jets for a brighter future, man. I'm telling you right now.
Step off the ledge, Pyro. Step off the ledge.
Bro, I'm mid fall right now. I'm about to hit the ground.
I was gonna say he's falling, man.
You already jumped.
He was there 2 weeks ago.
Fins up.
Oh
my God. Fuck Fins up.
Little Finn, your final thoughts.
Wow.
All right.
Little Finn going once.
Good final thoughts.
Twice.
We have to win this game. We traded for Watson. We officially lost to the Laremy Tunsil trade. And yeah, we gotta win.
That'll work.
Fins up.
That's it. Short and sweet. All right. I will be back tomorrow night, guys. We'll preview the Colts and the Dolphins. Keys of victory, match to watch, all that good stuff. I will see y'all tomorrow. Until next time, Fins up all day, every day. Stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. And Dolphins, either shit or get off the pot. If you're gonna make the move for Deshaun Watson, just get it over with already. But I still think they're gonna trade for him in the offseason. That's when I think they're gonna make the move. They're gonna see if the indictment stuff plays out, how that plays out. But we'll see. The next couple of weeks will be telling. But Fins up all day, every day. We'll see y'all tomorrow night, guys.
Hit the like.